A semi-local theater showed Back to the Future for its 40th anniversary back in early November 2025. While I have seen the film a couple of times, both times were back when I was in junior high school, maybe 14 or 15 years old or so. That's been about a decade ago or more depending on the exact timing, so it's been a little while, and I figured that having the opportunity to watch it again in a theater was a more perfect opportunity to re-experience this masterpiece than any other I'd get, so I took that opportunity as soon as it was available to me. I made a mighty fine decision with that because masterpiece this film truly is. It is one of the most perfect films I've ever watched. The long and short of it is that I've scarcely experienced anything with more consistent heart, coherent writing, intelligent design, and cohesive narrative, just as much because of the time travel element as in spite of it, which is its own mean feat. If that right off the bat is not a glowing recommendation, I don't know what is. All I know is that I expected to enjoy this movie-going experience without a doubt, but I did not expect to enjoy it this much. To put it plain and simple, every single aspect of Back to the Future is technically sound, and not just sound, but a genuine showing of immense competency. The cinematography is exceptional, the directorial touch with blocking and framing is so punchy, and it always serves every element brilliantly. The music decisions are great. I mean, you can never go wrong with Huey Lewis and the News, to be honest. The costuming is magnetic and iconic, the writing is unbelievably funny, and the casting could not have been more perfect for the script. The deftness with which the subject matter is handled as well, and the humor sprinkled throughout is truly something to behold. The editing as well is a measure of great care and restraint as well that I can scarcely poke any holes in. If there's an aspect of the construction and making of Back to the Future that can be targeted, I could come up with at least one example from within the runtime to prove how that exact thing was done basically perfectly. And yet, it isn't just all these individual geniuses that made the film that make it so good. Even with a set of parts so well constructed, Back to the Future still manages to be even greater than the sum of them. It is just brilliant. Some specific things I want to call out as being super special are the cast and the tone. Of particular note are, of course, Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd, who are in a class all their own with this film. Their dynamic and chemistry in every single scene they share is electric, and they're just so damn funny. Obviously, the writing is no small part of why the film is so funny, but the delivery and timing of everything from every actor cannot be understated. Christopher Lloyd especially may have turned in one of the funniest performances I've ever seen, and he is only supported by, well, pretty much literally everybody else in the cast. The only duo I can think of that compares is Harrison Ford and Sean Connery in Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, so far as specific films go. The casting here, even beyond the two leads, is simply remarkable as well, if only for how heavily they commit to the bit. Back to the Future is surely at least to some degree a comedy, but it's never so slapstick so as to be a comedy, if that makes sense. It's hilarious and is so quite often, but everybody plays their characters so straight that nothing ever feels hammed up for the sake of the punchline. The punchlines come leisurely and naturally, which is definitely something to commend in a day where too many films have forgotten how to be funny without being at least a little bit annoying about it. And more on that point, it's not just the humor that lands so well, though it is perhaps the thing I noted the most while I was in the theater with it. Every other tonal decision lands as well. Take, for instance, tension. There are genuine stakes to the movie. Understanding that it is working from a time travel conceit, it aims to remind of the tension inherent to that by taking a somewhat unexpected twist on the grandfather paradox. Marty as a character has to be careful about what he does and says here because it can and does have ramifications on the future. Ramifications enough that he may not even live to make it back to his own time because he has unwittingly set things in motion that ensure he never even exists in the first place. Seems like a very obvious idea to play around with, right? Well, sure, it is, but it's also handled far better in Back to the Future than I think just about anybody else could have managed. Hell, I watched Back to the Future with a friend who had never actually seen it before, and he was pretty skeptical, reasonably so, about how they'd make it to the end and address the entire misadventure. Well, they do, and I believe they do so basically believably. At the least, they do so with enough heart and following up on things set up earlier in the film so as to be wholly satisfying. Oh, and speaking about following up on things, that's one of the subtler aspects of the craft of Back to the Future that I absolutely adored getting to see. So many camera shots and dialogue moments and implicit jokes that are never voiced aloud, and so much more, bring together the package of the film by ensuring that nothing is ever wasted. If you are shown something in what seems a throwaway shot, or if the camera lingers on something for just a second too long, you can always rest assured there's going to be a sequence somewhere that follows up on that thing. And furthermore, the film does this so well that the viewer is intuitively able to piece everything together, sometimes just before the payoff is actually given. It's not so heavy-handed as to be predictable, and it never ever over-explains or dumps itself down. It trusts the audience to be able to both follow along and at times figure things out on their own, like I said, which makes that aspect of the viewing experience that much more the pleasure. When I say Back to the Future is genius and essentially a perfect film, I seriously mean that. I mean, literally my only gripe is that the sequel bait and cliffhanger is a little heavy-handed and somewhat unnecessary, and I could have done without it, as a personal taste thing more than as a quote-unquote objective criticism. But not a single other thing is bad. And besides, the opening is perhaps one of the most iconic intros to a movie there is, and it immediately proves the filmmaker's competency by being an extensive one take that itself foreshadows and references so many things to come through the rest of the first act and the rest of the film, broadly speaking, that I just have no words to be able to praise it. I've used most of the terms in my mental thesaurus. It is stupendous, truly a once-in-a-lifetime kind of movie. I'm not just glad I got the chance to rewatch this because I had been wanting to. I feel blessed in a way to have gotten to do so in a theater. What a remarkable time. I can't say enough just how much I adored Back to the Future.